and welcome to A New Pace. My name's Lesley, and today we have the lovely Sam Rawlings, who is a children's creative counsellor, which is amazing to speak with her, given my experience as an art therapist. And it just feels like I'm looking forward to such a rich conversation. I've got like so many things that I think that we could talk about. So, welcome, Sam.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it as well. Not being the host today as well is a
Yeah.
bit different for me.
Yeah, because of course you have your own podcast as well. And before we started recording, we were saying about how it's quite different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Interviewing someone and having a conversation with somebody compared to being in the space where you can just lean back and you can talk and you can share thoughts and like your expertise and your experiences. So actually, yeah. So how are you today? How are things?
Really good. It's the school holidays, which is really exciting for me. It's a bit different than every other year because I left my employed role in July as a school counsellor. So I'm kind of at the start of an exciting journey as being fully self-employed. And just to keep myself going a little bit longer, I decided to just stay on bank staff 1 day a week, which I think will help. It'll just help me stay a little bit grounded as well, because I am a very kind of buzzy, excited, if I could climb to the ceiling, I think I'd be on the ceiling more than on the floor. So I've
Yeah.
got to remind myself just to keep grounded as well, because I think it's really important, especially in the work that I do.
Yeah. Oh no, that's brilliant. And actually, it sounds like, having the space over the summer is maybe helpful in that sort of transition to something new, going into like really what it is that lights you up. And like those shifts can be, it could be really important to really acknowledge those shifts and like the impact of them. So, what is it that you do and how do you help people?
So I'm a children's creative counsellor, as you said. I work with children 6 to 19. I mean, sometimes the children might be a little bit under 6, but that is those like individual needs, and we'll discuss that conversation anyway to see if I'm the right person, really. And I also support parents. And when I say I support parents, the counselling is there, absolutely. However, I don't want parents to feel that it's very therapized, very similar to how the child is. And I won't work with the parent if I'm working with the child and vice versa. So it's very much about how they feel as a parent, and if they need just that extra support. It might be just a single session. I do single sessions, I do block sessions, because sometimes they don't need as many as children do, or they don't want to, you know. But then also the other side of it is it might be the first time they've been heard as well. So it's a really important kind of space for parents if they want that.
Yeah.
With
I,
children, as I said, 6 to 19. And the reason it's 19 is because I've done a lot of different jobs over years. And I think what I've kind of noticed and increased my awareness is when a child gets to 18, the services are reduced. They change, the transition is huge. And a lot of the children are not ready at 18 to go into adult services in whatever form that is. So I support children up to 19. So then it takes them over that kind of that, do you know what I mean? That
yeah.
transition, that change. However, if I'm working with a young person who is already 18, I'm not going to say, and they know they're coming to 19, I'm not going to say, well, that's it now. Sorry, you're 19. Absolutely not. It's for them to decide when they know that that ending is right for them. And that is go through discussions, the work that we do together, and being prepared for that ending as well is really important.
Mm.
So I work very creatively. I am a creative myself. It's took me a long time to accept that, but once I realised that, things changed a lot in how I work, and I explore creativity in not just arts and crafts, because that has been kind of a difficult thing for me when I was younger, but just so much more. So I introduced, you'll have heard of walk and talk therapy,
Oh yeah.
Lesley. So it started off as that. I did some extra training and workshops and things to be able to know that I could do this kind of work. And basically, what it is it's working outside. So instead of having a huge green trolley, I'm known for having this huge green trolley and taking everything everywhere. So it felt that being outside we know is so many benefits. So why not be able to do that in how I work? Now, I know this was brought in through COVID so that therapists could still work with their clients, because otherwise, I mean, I don't know if you worked over COVID, but for me, it
Yes.
was very much online. And I feel now for some people it really works, but when you're working with young children, it doesn't always work. And I had, children that would do handstands across the screen or go find something that they wanted to show me, so the sessions were very kind of, I guess, limited in some ways, and I was kind of building myself up then as well. So it was about my confidence at the time. And I very rarely have children, young people who come to me for online sessions, and that's okay. I offer it, but they want the in person. So
Yeah.
going back
Yeah.
to walk and talk therapy, it felt right to bring that into my practice, my business. So January this year, I started that, and I love it. It benefits both of us, I work one to one. I haven't done any group stuff. That is in the pipeline, but at the moment it's very much one to one. And we go in nature. We're outside. So instead of having this huge green trolley, the resources are natural, like leaves, stones, looking at the sky. There's so many different things you can do. And I don't think sometimes when we're out inside, we just walk. We just walk, 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 walk. And what I realized is that a lot of people were thinking that walk and talk is literally and talk, walk and
Yeah.
talk. Absolutely not, because where I felt there was something missing.
Mm.
So I changed walk and talk therapy to creative trails because it's aligned with me,
Nice.
it's aligned with my clients, and it's almost like I released the pressure in, the clients as well. So we've played football, you know. I mean, being able to play football while you're having therapy, counseling, it just opens so many doors as well, because when children are focused in something, that is when the magic happens. That is when they will open up, they will share what's going on for them. So so I do that. And then the other thing is I also, as I said, in person, and that's at a place in Crossgates in Leeds. And I've been there over 3 years now. And I've kind of created this room into my space.
Mm.
I've left
Yeah.
loads of resources there. And my clients can go in the cupboard, they can get out what they want. There's a lot of kind of freedom, flexibility. However, there's still that safe space which creates that security and that trusting relationship as well. And I absolutely love what I do. I'm so passionate. I really am.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I worked in schools as a school counsellor, beside my business, I could feel my confidence increase because I was like stepping out of my comfort zone and trying different things as well. And, I feel that everything is what I've done has got to me to where I am now.
This is it. And you saying about kind of, oh, I'm really passionate about that. That absolutely comes through because like you're talking about these things that it's just a real part of you, talking about working with children that are 6 or even younger. And then, that essence of like really knowing why it's important for you to not just stop the work when someone turns 18. Because I don't know about you, but when I turned 18, I didn't feel like I was an adult. I didn't feel like I could just sort of go. And
Yeah.
then speaking about the difference between maybe your approach as being quite flexible, what I'm hearing is that flexibility and really like not necessarily going, it's this or it's that. We do lots of things, we meet that person where they are. And I know that like some of the things that you talk about is being sort of person centered. And so actually there's this sort of twofold of the creativity, which we can add, do more of, and then that sort of person centered thing. So what would you how would you describe sort of being person centered? Like what is it about that that matters to you?
So if I go back to previous jobs, my career, I was a nurse. I worked in nurseries for a long time. Um, so I started off as a nursery nurse in schools, and then I went into early years and children's centres as a nursery officer. And the whole of my career has been client centered,
Mm,
has been child centered,
yeah.
person centered. So when the when I knew that I wanted to like look at counselling and things, and that's a bit of a story on its own. Um, there was different options. However, due to taking the time off work, being allowed to take the time and things like that, I ended up going into this course that was actually person centered.
Mm,
And for me, it's the foundations. Now it's got this kind of thing about it, this reputation as it's a pipe and slippers in a chair. And if you imagine that in your head, absolutely not.
mm,
Because that is, do you know what I mean? That's how I saw it. And I didn't understand it at the time. I was like, what's that got to do with? And then I started understanding more. It's almost like we don't give advice,
yeah.
we don't tell you what to do. It's not as structured as CBT and DBT.
Mm,
It's not those kind of therapies. It's very much so CBT related to Freud, as you know. So yeah, and it's not that. So it's very much like, we'll just sit here and we'll listen. I mean,
mm.
this is my chair in my office and it actually rocks.
Oh yeah.
So I'm rocking in it now because that's just where my brain's gone. Um, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
not the way I work. I feel I've created my own therapy. Obviously, I'm under BACP, so I'm very ethical of the way I work. However, what stops you creating something? It's kind of called integrative.
Mm,
But again, I don't like that word. So
mm,
I see myself as being person-centered. That is my foundations. That is what laid my foundations. Working in the nurseries all those years where the family was at the center of anything.
yeah.
And I did a lot of safeguarding. So I was involved in a lot of early helps. It was called CAF at the time.
Mm,
Um, child protection reviews. I was
yeah.
involved in a lot of that, and it was so important for the family to be at the centre. And during that time, there was a lot of these case studies that come up where the baby P, those kind of ones.
Mm,
I can't think of others offhand, but it was that kind of thing, and it was so important that the family was at the centre, and it was showing in these cases that they actually weren't.
mm,
So the way I work in a triangle.
mm,
So there's the child, and I work with the child.
yeah.
However, there's something missing there, and that's the parent or the
Mm,
carer, because the initial contact is with the parent.
yeah.
And this ensures that they can build that relationship, trusting relationship up with me as well. So person-centered in that way is very much like I'm hearing what their needs are, what the support is that they need for their child. Um, and I'm giving them that space to share
Mm,
that with me. And then I'm going away and I'm working with a child. And there's a lot of, like I said, they're able to kind of choose what they want to do. There's a lot of, like, I know this was years ago. So I did quite a lot of work with Place to Be. And I was kind of told then that, that working with children is more directive than adults. And I
right.
kind of get that in some way, but you need a balance. You need a balance for that to be able to work. So as I've kind of developed my practice, my confidence, and understood more of how I can support families, it's now at a stage where they kind of choose what they want to do. So if they want to play with the sand, but we still counseling, I'm still supporting them, you know. If they want to play some games,
Yeah.
sometimes clients play games the whole way through. Now, somebody looking on the outside would go, how are you supporting them? What are you doing?
Mm.
Actually, there's a lot of work going on in there, and there's a lot of support going on because they're building that trust with me. So for me, person-centered is building trust, allowing them to make the choices, allowing that autonomy to come through so that then they realize when they know that they're feeling better about themselves, their self-worth is better, the parents are noticing that change. And the other important part is bringing the parents in for reviews every so
Mm.
often, about roughly 8 weeks around, so
Mm.
that they can share the changes or if they feel the support's still needed or we've come to an end. So it's giving the onus back to the family.
Yeah. And like,
That's how I see person-centered for me.
this is the thing, isn't it? And this is why I was asking about how you viewed it rather than what it was as a concept, because it is very much about like meeting the person where they are. And in that sort of, in the theories of it, it talks about sort of unconditional positive regard. And actually there may be times when you do have have kind of positive feelings towards your clients, and there may be times when you might not have that. Like,
Yeah.
we're all quite human. We're, well, very human, I'd hope. and and actually the whole idea of you adapting and leaning into things and giving choice is actually like, that's that feels really refreshing to hear like that, because it can be so like hard. I'm just thinking about my own experiences where there's a it's this or it's that, or you can't be that kind of therapist because of that. And some of the things can feel, instead of it being expansive and creative, can be a bit restrictive sometimes. So actually it's nice to be able to, for you to be able to maybe share those things about why playing the game would be so important for somebody. And actually in my head I'm nodding along, because I know I do games all the time. Like, art therapy and creative counselling are very different but similar in lots of different ways.
Yeah.
And like, there's times that I've got a bag of games, I'll play double a lot, and actually, like, there's a trust that these kind of things and the social interaction and the building confidence and building that challenge for people, and so many different plays on building like relief of anxiety and building confidence, self-esteem, all of those kind of things. As a counselor, my guess is that you know that you can trust that, but then maybe the questions might come from elsewhere. How come you're just playing football with my son? How come that's that? And so hearing about how the reviews and maybe working with the family, it feels like it's maybe that helps them to trust you, that you can have that flexibility to work and respond to what that child needs. Is
Yeah.
that what it feels like?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And when you go back to the one with the football, it was I'd had the conversation with the client first because I felt that they were really kind of restricted in how they were being. Obviously, there's the confidentiality there. Um, and it was one particular session really that changed it. And I feel from there that I learn, so I learn as well. I learn from my
Mm,
clients, I go back and reflect and think, hmm, maybe maybe there's something missing here, and maybe it's about way that I'm working, or do you know what I mean? Or like you said, we sometimes can be a little bit, do you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
over questioning in our head,
Yeah.
but I think that's a good thing because being a
Yeah.
counsellor, it's CPD the whole of your life, as long as you're a counsellor, you're
Yeah.
always
You
learning. And gaining
Yeah.
new knowledge, aren't you? And skills as well. And I feel that having that opportunity to be able to reflect that way made me think that, so this is the way that the client is. But I've seen something different today that made me think, ah,
Yeah.
and that's when I thought about the creative trails as well. Obviously, I had to think about names and things because I
Mm.
was like, this is where I put it out as walk and talk therapy, thinking, yeah, that's great. That's another bow to what I'm doing. But it isn't until you start doing it, is it? And start until you start using it and working that way that actually think, oh, well, actually, there's something missing here.
Yeah.
But I think it's good when you know yourself, like, you, Lesley, as an art therapist and me as a counsellor, when we recognise that ourselves, that we've got something missing, the
Yeah.
way we work, then we're enhancing it, aren't we? And we're making it more niche and making it better for the clients that we work with. So I feel that is where it kind of come from, really, in some ways, that like, okay, so it's time to change.
Mm.
As you grow and you develop, as well. Um, and that changed then because
Hmm.
them words that obviously felt restricting, because some people literally take things, don't they? How they see it, the words they see, it's like, oh, so this is what we do. Even though I'd had conversations with parents before, and it's not just one, it's others as well. They just saw the outside bit. That's all they
Yeah.
could see. But the clients themselves were like, oh, so this is what we do. This is what we do. And I'm like, so now it's almost like, oh, I can breathe now. I
Yeah.
can do what I enjoy. I can play. I can have fun. I can climb trees, obviously to a limit, we're not safety
It's
aspect.
like you're allowed to climb a tree, whether you can. I can't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so I think but that it's got to come from us, hasn't it? As business owners, it's got to come from us because if our clients are doing something and we're not clicking on it, we're not aligned.
Yeah.
We're not aligned in ourselves, and I think that's really important to understand ourselves. Our own self-awareness has got to be there.
Mm.
And it isn't on this basic, it'll start on that bit. That's where I started, on that
Yeah.
basic level of self-awareness. But as you grow and you evolve, you're like,
Yeah.
well, why am I doing this? I love doing this myself. So why am I not looking in the mirror, looking at
Yeah.
how you work with your clients? As I said, there's so much learning. And actually it's made a difference because now as I said, I've like released that pressure. And that's why I had to change the name because it wasn't working for me.
Mm. And yeah, and creative trails, it just gives me that sense of you, that it's about you, it's that creativity coming in. And this kind of concept of you feel, we're saying about how passionate you are, and you being able to sort of go, I'm 100% behind this. Whereas before I was doing something and it just didn't feel quite aligned. I was
Yeah,
doing it, but it didn't feel like, yes, this is me. It's a heck yes type thing. And often with those things, we often sort of maybe are tentative when we're not sure, and then go all in when it's a heck yes thing. And the children will see that, won't they? They'll see that they might, like, you could say one thing but not feel it, have it behind you. So
yeah.
the fact that you're talking about your own creativity and you know some of the same messages that I share about how creativity is not just about painting and drawing. There's loads of different things that go on. Um, I'm curious about, so like, your creativity and what that means to you. What sort of what that yeah, when you talk about yourself as a creative person, like what comes up?
So I'm a mum and a grandma. I have four grandchildren.
Fantastic.
And from I suppose when my daughters was young, I was more a mum and focused on work and things. So again, I didn't see it. And it was
Yeah.
when I was in college to train to be a counsellor that I was told I was creative, and I just laughed at them and went, no, I've been working
Ah.
in nurseries for years, with little children, all different from 3 months upwards to 5, and I'd never seen myself as a creative. But again, it's got to
Yeah.
come from yourself, hasn't it? So that for me was very much about, and I went through a real roller coaster in my life as well from being quite young. A lot of trauma, childhood trauma, and
Yeah.
into adult as well. So that side of me was very much kind of, it was blocked. It was
Mm,
completely blocked. And I
yeah.
didn't even realize that I could do these kind of things. And when I was in high school, I I just didn't cope with it at all.
Yeah.
I really struggled and I would just focus on English. Maths I found hard, but English I could do. So I'd focus on what I could do because at the
Yeah.
time it was a really difficult time to be able to be myself. I
Mm,
didn't know who I was for years and things. So as my children got older, they're in their 30s now,
mm,
two girls. And as I said, it was college, and I still didn't accept it or anything at the time, and I was still working in the nursery. And when I first become a counsellor, I wasn't even looking at children's counselling. I
yeah.
was looking at adult counselling from about 16, 18. But then something triggered me
Mm,
with the place that I contacted, and it just wasn't right. And I was like, oh no, I can't do this. And then I ended up working for a place to be volunteering, and I did their
yeah.
course as well. But that I didn't feel that were enough. And the tutor says to me, he says, you don't need any more courses. You've got everything you need to be able
Yeah.
to work with children. I'm like, yeah, but I haven't got a degree and things like that, you know. And that's what I questioned for so long. I didn't have a degree. Um, Now I've realized that the experience that I've got across the years has just brought me to know what I'm doing and things. And obviously I've got the right qualifications and everything, but I haven't got the degree as in, when I say I haven't got a degree, I haven't got a degree written on paper. However,
Yeah.
the place to be one was a higher level.
Yeah.
So I'm covered, you know, if anybody's listening as such and
No,
think,
no,
oh, she's not qualified, I'm covered qualified wise to be able to be a counsellor, a children's counsellor. Um, so going back to my own creativity. So since my grandchildren have been young, particularly my grandsons who are now teens, the creativity just started to come out. I would love crafting. We'd go out, we'd like, you know what I mean? And it was just there. It were all natural. It just happened and I never thought about it. When they were young, I got this beautiful like plaque with lots of different things about family. And it was
oh,
from my grandsons. And basically, can't remember exactly, but it were like, Grandma, we like it when you do silly dances. And I used to do Five Little Monkeys and things like that and make it
oh,
more
I know
silly.
that.
It wasn't just, it was, so
Five
all,
little monkeys sitting
yeah,
in.
all of it, all of it. And when I was worked in the nurseries, I was the movement play practitioner.
Right, yeah,
So
yeah,
again, it was there. I'd really struggled in drama in high school, but then my daughters went through dancing and things like that. So there's been a lot of creativity within us that I just never identified. So if I'd come to now, well, 18 months ago, yeah, 18 months ago,
yeah, yeah,
I'd been in choirs years, so I'd realised that I'd missed it. I'd done it in high school, we'd done at town hall, and then there'd been a big gap for years
yeah.
and things. Um, and then as an adult, I went through a lot of depression and really difficult times and things. And then I went to choir, went to rock choir,
Oh, yeah.
and that's not just standing, you know,
No,
you're
no.
moving a little bit. Now, dancing for me has never been natural or out like that. I never danced when I was young. I'd always wanted to be a, you know, be a ballet dancer and things like
Mm,
that. It didn't happen for loads of reasons. So rock choir for me was like a bit of a, but could I do it? Could I bugger?
yeah.
Could I eckers? Absolutely not. So I was still not believing in myself. Left that choir, went in other choirs, and then I ended up in Carol Barwick's choir
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely loved it because she
Mm,
did loads of mixes in her songs and things. So her creativity is huge and what have you. And I used to drop her off after choir because we live close and things. And I once asked her if I could interview her. That
Yeah.
was the start of my creative side, as in being a podcaster.
Mm.
And that's a couple of years ago. And then from there, I went into podcasting as on Spotify and things. Um, so it was starting to come through then. I was allowing it more. And I used to call myself a children and young people person-centered counselor, blah, 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 blah. That was the title.
Yeah.
It don't feel comfortable anymore. And then something clicked in my head, and I'm like, you're a children's creative counselor. Well, that were
Yeah.
it again. So it's been over the years that I've accepted that actually I am, I can be can be creative. And then when I turned around and said to myself, I am a creative, what the hell? You
Yeah.
know you have all these different things you do. But again, it's not just them arts and crafts.
Yeah.
So in my own life, so I left the choir ended and things, and I could have gone to another one, but then there was something missing, and I knew there was something missing. I was like, I don't, because Carol's choir had been more than just singing. I needed more. I knew I needed more. And at the time, I thought, this is really funny. I thought I needed a relationship, as in
Okay.
with a man. So, so we're trying that out, where I've been on and off websites and things. I mean, I haven't been in a relationship since 2018
Mm.
properly. So we're
Yeah.
trying all that out. And then something again clicked in my head, and obviously when you're on Facebook and in groups, and where I live, there's literally somewhere really close that do amateur dramatics. And I've never really thought I was good enough
Mm.
and all that. And then last year, I started thinking about it, and I'd put something out on Facebook about I've done choirs, da da da. I feel I want more. Anybody know anywhere? And three or four people told me of where I am now. So February last year, I contacted Whitkirk Arts Guild, and I walked in like a nervous wreck.
Okay. Yeah.
Um,
Makes sense. First time.
as yeah, absolutely. Didn't really know what I was doing there, but knew I wanted more than just choir. And I think
Yeah.
what I'd realised is it wasn't about relationships, it was about something for me.
Yeah.
About something for me. And that was it. And the creativity, I wanted it to be in that. And so now, where we are now, I've done three shows. I've done a show, I've done like a kind of a cabaret, and I've also
Yeah.
done a pantomime. And my debut was in my first show. I was a squirrel.
Oh, brilliant.
I mean, it wasn't a talk, it was a
Yeah.
singing one because we did nine
Yeah.
to five. But that was the kind of awakening for me that
Yeah.
there is so much more. So now I absolutely love the singing that I've always loved singing, but now it's more about being creative as in myself.
Mm.
So when I'm outside, I'll do silly dances, I'll do reels, and I allow it all to flow in now. I'm always open to new opportunities as well, and I never just go, no thanks, unless it feels really uncomfortable because I realised this is what I haven't had for all these years. So when my daughters danced and went to dance school, so competitions dance, so they did more than just the singing, dancing, a bit of acting as well. I've lived my life wanting to be creative through them.
Yeah.
And now it's my turn, and I absolutely love it. I'm a different person as well. I would say I'm beaming with confidence majority of the
Yeah.
time. I'm so much happier, and and my positivity's changed how I see things. I reflect, but not that overthinking reflect
Mm.
like I used to do. I'm a lot more aligned. And as I said, I left my job, and that is huge,
Mm.
after 32 years being employed. But yeah, so I am a creative.
That's so good. And just that kind of that courage to say I am creative. It's like I am an artist. All of these things with certainty. And from hearing that narrative, hearing your experience, it really strikes me as to, the journey that you've been on. Because we often hear people saying, just like what you're saying, I'm just not creative, versus you either are creative or you're not. And actually you're sort of proof that everyone, to me, everyone's creative. It's just making a choice as to what you're doing. And your experiences that you described, you like, I don't know the details of them, but that sense of being having your creativity blocked or your true self blocked, and then actually gradually doing little bits, and whether whatever the meaning of it is at the time, it's kind of going, oh, I can do a bit of this, or I will do that. I'll go and do a bit of this with my grandchildren, and then I'll go and do something for me. And that's that shift, isn't it?
Yeah.
And something that I wonder, I'd imagine you could see this a lot in sort of parents as well. And like, it's something that I notice, like when I've worked with in children's services and like children's mental health organizations, sometimes the parents would be, oh, I'm coming to help the child rather than doing the art with them. For me, I'm doing the art to help the child to do the art rather than I'm leaning into it for myself.
Yeah.
So what does that feel like for you? So I can we can maybe talk more about what it looks like sort of professionally, to then to now is just say a bit more about like to now kind of go, I'm creative, this is me, um feeling where I'm at, sort of thing. What does that feel like looking back at that journey?
Um, so I think I was very unsure. Do you mean as a counsellor or as a
No,
parent
just
myself?
you as
As a
you.
parent
Yeah.
myself,
Oh, no, not even as a parent, as a human.
as a human. Well, I've been on a really long journey. Um, it was, I'd say, hmm, probably this last 2 or 3 years has been the biggest help for me. Obviously, there's been so many things throughout the years, but this has been
Yeah.
the real kind of awakening, I would say. But if I look back further, I mean, when I see photos of myself and I'm like, I often say now that I don't recognize the Sam before.
Yeah.
I say the old Sam, but I
Yeah.
was younger then.
Same. Yeah. Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't recognize that person when I see photos of me, even videos. So if I think of the first retreat I went on, so it'll have been 20, what we in 25, 2022, I think it was. I went on a retreat. It was for women who needed that space for themselves. They didn't know who they are. Do you know what I mean? They're really kind
Yeah.
of a lot of
Yeah.
anxiety and things like that. And I went with a lady called Fiona Green, and I'm sure she'd be fine about me talking about. So I went with a lady called Fiona Green, and it was a copywriter, and she because she knew she's called Nina Rainey, who ran the retreat, and so we went together, and I was again so nervous. And when I'm really nervous, this is something I've realized over time, I get lost. I
Right.
get lost driving. I can't
Oh,
find it.
okay. Yeah. Like physically lost. Yeah.
Yeah, because my brain just goes because I'm
Yeah.
going somewhere new and I'm so scared and so nervous and I don't know how to react. So this is, say, 3 years ago. 3 years ago. Oh, it's just been actually. So 3 years
Ah.
ago, August. Actually,
Right.
it was a couple of days ago. It would have been. I know it's right. When I look back, I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, so we arrived and she said hi and everything. And I was just, I couldn't even get, I got out of the car, but I wasn't even going to get out of the car.
Yeah.
I couldn't cope at all. We were late, obviously, because I got lost. I saw the group of people who were in a circle. Circles have been really difficult for me in some ways because when I went to therapy years ago, so I've had a lot of years of therapy,
Yeah.
and one of the therapists I had was group therapy.
Mm.
And it was very much related to the trauma that I'd experienced. So we were all kind of categorized under this same title. Now, when you see a title like that, you're like being labeled. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
So that's not necessarily like helpful, but then the intention
No.
might be to help, but it's not necessarily helpful for you.
Yeah, because what I found, and when I was given a diagnosis as well, when it was put down on paper, F10, I mean, I won't swear, but what the hell is like F10? I didn't understand it or anything. I'm okay till I see it on paper, and then it's like, it's real now, it's real now. Do you know what I mean? It was really scary. So, this therapy that we did it in circles and a group therapy, and all I wanted was my chair to go through the back of the wall.
Yeah,
So that was quite a few years ago, but then when I go back to this retreat, they were all sat in a circle.
yeah. So that kind of that past experience and the meaning that you had of that and the associations of it just feeling like really overwhelming and just feeling like the labels that you're given and based on like the trauma based
Yeah,
on that and actually really having an impact on your mind and your nervous system. Our nervous systems don't know the difference between the past and now. Like we could have a real mix up between did it happen now or did it happen last
yeah,
week or did it happen? So it makes sense that you would then associate that circle to represent that more challenging time and to represent maybe being put in that label rather than being held. And it sounds really exposing, Sam. It sounds like really like like being put in a place where you kind of feeling like yeah they're exposed rather than supported, which like when you've got
just
these
want
talking
to,
and these circles that like these women's circles that can feel like very much like the intention is that we're collected, we're together, but then actually because of your experience you didn't have that. And I'd imagine you're not the only one that's had therapy in a circle and it associates with the memories of what you were talking about or what was going on for that. So just
yeah,
to really
definitely.
acknowledge
And
that.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Nina held me. She gave me a big hug when I got there. And that was the kind of, but then I saw the circle and there were some speakers there and that overwhelming. But it is
Yeah,
back to those previous experiences because the retreat, wow, I think I cried for 95% of the time.
yeah, yeah,
But you know what? That was the best thing that I did for me because that was the start of my, sounds rubbish, sounds a bit silly, but proper healing journey. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean? Because it was not just counseling,
yeah.
talking. It was all the different holistic therapies as well. So it was very, so there was different massages, there
Mm.
was the sound drums, we walked with the alpacas, the
Oh,
food was beautiful. Everybody was there. There were tears, you know what I mean? But it was the new for all of us. So we were all in some way at similar levels, but obviously with our own things. And the biggest thing that I did is so on the Friday night we threw whatever into the fire, what we didn't want,
yeah,
for the Phoenix thing. And then on the Saturday it was like what you want to do. So for me, I'd wanted to do a solo audition because again, in the past, that's not happened to me. And I was once told in a choir that my voice was too nice. So my eldest daughter who'd sung for years, I'm like, what does that mean? And she said, it's when you're singing from up here, not down there from your diaphragm. Okay. I learned about that later on and things. So I'd never done a solo. I wanted to sing on stage. Look where we are now. Um,
yeah.
and that, as I say, that was 3 years ago. So on the Saturday, she was playing a piece of music and it's called by Paloma. It's funny, isn't it, how you remember things.
Yeah,
Paloma Faith,
details matter. Yeah.
I Want to Be Me.
Okay, yeah.
And she put it on the music player and what have you, music player. Okay. I can't
The
think what it was.
wireless, the wireless
Whatever
CD
it was,
player.
it were yeah, it recorded things. And I got up and I sang and I were moving as well and things like that. So that was like a revelation for me that actually you are
Yeah.
more than enough. You can do this. You are enough. You're in the right place. And it was just so beautiful. the interesting thing when we're talking about like visibility and things like that is I didn't share it on social media till the following February
Okay, wow. Yeah. Yeah.
because
So that so
I wasn't ready
it
for it.
it being helpful for you, but then not necessarily helpful for you to share with other people. And that's perfectly suitable, I would say, because you choose what parts of you you share with
Yeah.
who and when. And that's about boundaries, it's about choice. And that to me is about that's empowering rather than thinking, oh, I should have shared it. It's you being able to go, I chose to share it later. But were the times when you were thinking, I'd like to, but I can't? Was that the
Uh,
part? Did it bother you that you hadn't shared it, or was it something that you just
no,
it felt
forgot
right?
all about it. So
Yeah,
I just wasn't ready for it.
yeah,
It just felt that, and I'd not took the video. One of the girls took the video and sent me it. And somehow, I don't know how, it just went out of my mind. And I think that was my way of dissociating from what I'd done in some ways.
yeah,
So it was like, no, I can't do that. Oh no, can't. Oh no, I can't. Look at the state. All I could see was the state of my hair and my clothes. I'd got a plaiting because obviously we were camp. It was like camping, isn't it?
yeah.
So one of my plaits was half down, falling down. Then I got a bit here. I got a black hoodie on, but somehow it had unched up halfway, not right up,
Oh,
but a little bit up. So there was
yeah,
this
yeah.
big lump. I looked exhausted as well and things like that. I'm like, oh no, I can't share that. What happened when I shared it in the February was I was told that you allowed your authenticity and your vulnerability to shine through.
Okay, yeah, yeah. And did it feel like that in the moment? Because it sounds like that in the moment that you were being fully present, that you were having this experience that was just being you, and actually, um sharing that is then communicating with somebody else. This is me sharing a time when I was doing that sort of thing. Because it's quite like compared to this is me talking on camera sort of
Yeah,
now like about what how to be aligned. There's all these different levels, isn't there? So
yeah, they're
it
in.
sounds wonderful just to hear all of this. And one of my questions was about like music and like your songs. So and when we said about there'll be things that we've talked about that naturally come through. So I was really thinking about that difference between um yourself as human and being like really aligned with it, and then stepping into times when you're then being that professional and that personal and professional sort of stance, and now going into something sort of new, and well, not new but more a new way of doing it because you're going to full time. um so it's just thinking about like what you're sort of you're looking forward to and what you're sort of most excited about around that in your life, and like bouncing back into the sort of professional, knowing that you've had that experience yourself and you can step forward into that.
So, one of the things that well, I'm going to be in two different venues, well, it was Monday from this
Yeah.
week actually. Um, and it feels really aligned because they're a CIC.
Okay.
They've the counsellors, there's volunteer counsellors, and obviously professional counsellors who hire a room space. Um, and they work with neurodivergent
Mm.
adults.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, they're called Unmasked, which is Seacroft Leeds, and they're two wonderful ladies. And I went and everything to go speak to them, and I knew what room I wanted. I mean, I went for the biggest room. Of course, I did.
Yeah. It's nice to have space.
They do lots of different groups and things there as well, but there was something about it, and what I didn't realize when I first went to look round is the group room. It's bright. It's got a lovely cozy corner and things like that. So me, I don't know. Maybe it was a little bit of a judgment. I thought that they work with children. They don't work. They don't. support children, support parents, adults. So now we've got this kind of wholesome, because obviously I'm there. So some new opportunities there,
Uh,
working with families rather than, just adults or for me, children kind of thing. So that is really exciting. I'm part of a CIC. We have been for a bit, but we've kind of put it to one side while we both get our businesses kind of up and running. So it's with Jan Ockenden, who's a psychotherapist and coach. And we are running well-being events and different groups and things like that for single mums and
yeah.
obviously their children as well. So we're in the kind of pipeline of getting that sorted. Um, I'm also part of a collaboration of three of us,
Mm,
and that come from a single idea at a networking event where I realised that a lot of things I do is for families, for children, young people, parents. And I realize as a therapist counselor myself that it's like, yeah, but we get burnt out.
mm,
What do we get sometimes? So I created a collaboration. We are called the Power of Three. I'm saying all these names today, so it's
I
with
know it's
Emily
great.
Kirk.
Do you know what? Like, I was thinking about that, but I was also thinking about like when this is part of the sort of collaboration idea and part of kind of the work that you do, and but yeah, carry on.
That's okay. So it's with Emily Kirk, who is a Reiki master, and Claire Marshall, who is an outdoor therapist and outdoor psychotherapist. And as I say, we've created, it's called the Power of Three. We ran our first event in May. It was absolutely amazing. And the way is a bit different. So it's a day retreat. We did it on a campsite. It was
Yeah,
amazing. Um, and they do one workshop each, whoever comes, and then they receive three themselves. So we had somebody who did like tying knots. Did bath salts. I did some creative sessions.
yeah,
There was like a walk in the woods. We did lovely food. We had a tea ceremony. We had the fire burning, and it was just so beautiful. And I knew when I did that, when I created this, that, the right people, perfect, that this was something special.
mm,
So we've now got two more events. We're doing the same again next May, and then we've got one in October, which is very much about that kind of getting to hibernation.
mm,
And that isn't the same as the October one. This next year's. This is us three running it at Meanwood. So
yeah,
this is the exciting part because I'm so used to being here, there, and everywhere. And I feel that if I had to just sit at home, I would find it really difficult. It'd be more than bored. Do you know what I mean? I just wouldn't know what to do. Obviously, I've got all my business stuff. I work with a lovely VA called Carly Murphy, so she helps me with loads of
yeah,
things. And again, that's helped me increase headspace to be
yeah,
able to
yeah.
have all these different ideas. I've got some master classes coming up. I want to do a lot of work around child development because that is my initial kind of training, just to show all the differences with ages and especially to do with like a lot of neurodivergence and,
Mm,
so many more things. So that's something really exciting in the pipeline coming up.
yeah, it sounds good.
So it's very much kind of not just being in one place. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean? So
yeah,
being at the two different venues, being outside, the different collaborations, I'm always open for new, as I said, new
mm,
opportunities as well. Um, Allowing myself to network so that I can kind of keep those connections as well. And of course, family time. Family time is really important. It's a particular I can't speak anymore with my grandchildren, and then also having my own time. So whether it's been at, amateur dramatics, whether it's a walk in the woods or whatever at the beach. So I feel that my life is really really wholesome. It feels really filled, but not overwhelming filled like before it was. I feel that this is a really good time for me. And I'm going to be 55
Okay.
in like a week. No, two
Oh,
weeks, something like that.
happy
So yeah,
birthday.
so what I want to do is get a tattoo.
Mm. Ooh. And have you a plan for that, or is that
Well,
still
it's one of them
decided?
funny plans where I know what I want and I know where I'm going, but I haven't quite stepped into the place yet.
Yeah, yeah. So it will happen, but
Thinking
time.
about it isn't thinking
But,
about it at the moment. But yeah, so I'm very excited about things, but then it's really important, as I say. So mindfulness grounds
yeah,
me, being outside grounds me. Actually, being with some of my friends grounds. I've got a friend
yeah,
who's also a counsellor, and she's up here or I'm down there, we support a couple. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
yeah, I've got a really good friendship, business friends, networking as well. So yeah, I feel supported. I feel positive. I feel that I've made the right decision. And as I say, staying bank 1 day a week keeps me in schools as well, which
Yeah.
I absolutely love being in schools as a counsellor, particular high schools.
Mm.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, to somebody listening, it might sound like, well, actually, Sam's so busy. She's got so much energy and everything. And actually, you said it yourself that actually you are doing those groundedness stuff. And sometimes people have that message that, oh, mindfulness or relaxation is about doing nothing or just about relaxing. However, actually, we all know that everyone does things in their own way. Sometimes just sitting and relaxing isn't actually relaxing for somebody. It can be quite triggering for somebody to do breath work and things like that, or to do meditation. And actually, it sounds like you're very much like in that moment, aligned with the things, busy doing the things that you're aligned. And that, when I think about burnout, it's not about being so busy, but it's about being busy doing the wrong things. If you're
Yeah.
busy and excited doing the things that really light you up and like fill your cup, then you're not going to get burnt out. And it's just maybe like releasing the tap every so often when it feels like too much and stuff.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
what you just said as
Yeah,
well about groundedness.
definitely. And like yesterday was very much a day where I mean, I used to call it like faffing about and probably lazy and things like that. I don't see it as lazy now. It was a day that was needed to just kind of do nothing, bit of washing, a bit of this, but nothing.
Yeah,
Let the time kind of go and not feel bad about it. And that's the thing,
yeah,
isn't it? It's when you feel bad about something, then it makes you worry more and then you
yeah,
can lead to that burnout because it's like oh and then that overwhelm comes and everything but when you don't feel bad about it it's like oh it's okay if I
yeah.
just sit and play on my games on my phone for a little bit.
Yeah, completely. This is absolutely, and it's like when we create a meaning of something and associate productivity or achievement or whatever it is to our worth, that's when we might not actually relax when we're doing nothing. So it's not, it's sort of counterproductive, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
I need to relax, but then feel guilty for relaxing. So then I don't feel relaxed. So I might as well have been doing something, and then you feel that oh guilty because you didn't do the thing even though you didn't relax. And it's I've seen reels like this, and it's kind of there's a humor to it, isn't there? But what I would be thinking is like if you had some sort of like a word of wisdom or a top tip to help people to get that right sort of to work out what for them what might that be, because I'm
now
hearing
you've
that's like you found a way that works for you, like what how would you sort of advise other people?
um so I do top tips especially for parents
Yeah,
and one of the things I would say is just to like focus on them for a little bit. Just give themselves, even if it's 5 minutes, even if it's just to step outside, take some deep breaths, look at the sky, always look at the sky,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then like, okay, well that's the only time I've got, but try not to focus on that time because when you're going, oh God, I've only got like 3 minutes left, then it's gonna go quicker and it's just not gonna wait for you. So just allow yourself that little bit of time to just do whatever you want to do. And if that is scrolling on your phone, if that is having a couple of pages in a book or standing outside, whatever feels right. And it depends where you are as well and who you're with. But just giving yourself that space. Sometimes it can be just having a drink of water, just because again, and what it is, it's that mindfulness. It's
Yeah.
being in that moment because today's life it can be so hard and it's busy, 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 busy. As Lesley was saying, I seem over busy,
Mhm.
but I have a balance and
Yeah.
it's finding that balance for you, whatever that is. It might even be 5 minutes having a chat with your child, singing a song with them, you know, colouring a little bit. It can be anything as long as it's in that present moment
Yeah.
and not feel guilty for having that time as well.
Mm. That's that's the thing, isn't it? Is that being present, whether it's physically doing something, active mindfulness and all of those things. But
Yeah.
that makes a difference, doesn't it? Just being able to take time for yourself. And part of this, the concept of a new pace and stepping into a new pace, it feels like you've explored that and shared that, and times when you are needing to do something new that might require a new pace, might require like you up in the pace or changing direction. And actually those elements of pause, act, create and power feel like that they have sort of been woven in to
Mm.
your life, times when you've really needed to like take time to pause, or times when you've maybe almost been forced to pause because you've been in that sort of like that state of fear perhaps.
Yeah.
But then is there anything more on that you would want to maybe add, because it feels like you've spoken a lot about that, but I don't know if there's anything else that you would share about that new pace.
Um, So don't get me wrong, I have them times where I get anxious and
Yeah.
nervous, but I feel I've connected more to my body now so that I can recognize those signs and then do something about it if I can. And if not, sit with the feelings and allow it. And if that's crying, if that's laughing, if that's anger, I don't get angry very often. So when I do, I know that it's there, you
Yeah.
know, and it comes from my feet when I get this anger. It just comes the whole way up my body,
Yeah.
um, and it's a real kind of strange feeling that I can't even explain it. But I know it's very different to other, what I mean, feelings. And I just think that sitting with them has really helped me a lot. So I might just put a film on that makes me cry, or sometimes the soaps I like watching soaps because they're very easy to watch, and
Yeah.
I can be a little bit critical about
Yeah.
what goes on, but my counsellor head just goes on.
Yeah.
But then when I watch it for myself, I can cry or whatever, just yeah, and I just allow it. So for me, it's a lot about allowing. That's
Yeah.
what I've learned now. Allow things to happen, whatever they are, however hard they are. You
Mm.
know, I have a real struggle with the dentist, and this has been from I don't know how old I was. Anyway, I feel a lot of it's come from my trauma that's just come with me as a phobia. It's not a phobia. I thought it were a phobia. When I kept saying it were a phobia, they were making it worse and worse and worse. So
Mm.
anyway, I've been to the dentist twice. This has been after about 15 years. Um, and the dentist has been so supportive, as
Yeah.
in allowing me, allowing me the space for whatever I wanted on that day. So the first one, I sat in the chair, was like shaking, like shockingly. I literally opened my mouth and allowed an x-ray. That was it. And then the
Yeah.
second one, which was a few weeks ago, I actually allowed him to check my teeth.
Yeah.
So it's that respect because he understands what I need and I understand how he's going to support me. And I think that's a big part of the new pace,
Yeah.
knowing myself more for what my restrictions are, what my limitations are, and what I'm going to allow somebody, what I'm going to allow into my life. And I know how important it is for me to have my teeth sorted. However, this is a slow pace for me because of past experiences that I got to a stage where anybody talked about it. It was almost like, like when people have nut allergies, and if you
Yeah.
touch them with a nut or something, or dairy and it's milk, it was like that for me. They just had to
Oh,
mention the word or talk about it. And I'd have almost this panic attack. I just couldn't cope or anything like that. But then as I've grown stronger, I have coaching. I've been working with the same coach for over 2 years, and that's helped a lot. I've also, I suppose in some ways, like you say, this exposure. So I went on a business retreat in June, June
mm,
to Portugal, knowing it wasn't going to be easy because I saw how they went last year. They call Vida Fem, and
mm,
they went to Bali last year, and I could have gone, and I was like, can't do that because of the water. Can't do that. I can't because I can't swim. Blah, blah, blah. All this can't. Do you know what I mean? All this
yeah.
procrastination was just going on. But then when I saw them and watched them, I was like, I won't do that. I'm missing out. I
Yeah.
won't do that. A lot of FOMO. So I decided I were going to go. So we went to Portugal, and there were a lot of things there that we did breath work. Um, there was a pool, so I had to kind of manage that as well. Um, but I walked in there a different person to how I walked out. And that's because I'm allowing things to happen now for me. Obviously, I know when I'm safe because my gut is the best thing.
Yeah.
It tells me when things are not right and not safe. But I've learned to allow. So I would say that is and even though I haven't had a word for the year properly, I would say it's probably allow
I
because
like
a
that.
lot's
Yeah.
happened this year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I really, no, I really appreciate you sharing all of those things, and like very much about kind of lots of tips, lots of thoughts, lots of things that people might resonate with or might be able to then like reflect on their own life and experiences, and like that sense of allowing links me back to what you said at the start about having that self-awareness. So when we've got that self-awareness, whether it's a challenging thought or feeling or an experience, or whether it's something that you feel like really drawn to and really excited by, having that awareness of where it is and then going at a pace that works for that thing. So every experience we do in life will maybe be a different pace. So that really stands out to me about our conversation. So I really appreciate that. And like just now I'm gonna, like after we've finished, I'm gonna just go and take a walk outside. It's like that's something that I'm just straight off, I'm gonna go outside. So yeah, is there anything else that you'd want to maybe add? Maybe could you share with us, me and anyone listening, where we might find you?
Yes, of course. So I'm on social media, Instagram, SJR Counselling, Facebook, SJR Counselling.
Yeah,
I like to make it easy.
simple.
I've
Yeah,
got a website, which is, let me think,
yeah,
www.sjrcounselling.com.
yeah. And we'll put the links in the description as well so you can see. And yeah, that's great. So like space to allow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely so.
Thank you so much, Sam, for coming on. It's just been an absolute pleasure. And yeah, just I can really feel like your presence here, even when we're online. So yeah, I really appreciate you coming on and allowing me to ask you some questions. So and thank you everyone for listening to A New Pace today. Hope that you have found it useful, interesting, or that something resonates with you. And I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.